guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at an unlikely front-wheel drive track car. So this is Jeff here. You might have seen him in some of my track battles recently, and this is his 2012 Volkswagen GTI. So tell me why front-wheel drive, why the GTI to begin with as a track car base?
Yeah, in the beginning, my parents were like, "Oh, you're going to college, right?" So I had a choice of a Mazda Speed 3, a GTI, basically anything new car.
That's practical, right?
Yeah. My dad's boss was like, "Hey, there's a GTI for this price right now. You should go check it out." It was like $23K off the lot.
Oh, wow.
And then it was like a 0% APR for 60 months. So it's like zero interest and payment. Why not?
Yeah, it's a much nicer car than a Mazda Speed 3.
Yeah, it's more refined. I basically said, all right, let's do it right the first time, and invested in Bilstein coilovers, the PSS 10s, with the integrated engineering camber plates, because for front-wheel drive you need front camber.
Yeah.
Aluminum control arms by Super Pro, and then also a collar kit, which Spoon would also has it for your S2000, because my subframe would shift and clunk. Over time, brake was an issue, so I bought the big brake kit. I didn't want to do that pad and rotor combo trial and error, because that's a waste of money. And then after that, when I felt like I already pushed the cars to its limit with stock power, I started investing in power mods. Right now I have custom tune by EQ Tuning, but I'm running Cobb. Also integrated engineering, full intake, and also their front mount intercooler, and then also a downpipe and exhaust. To the wheels, I feel like probably 250. Yeah, and then probably 300 torque.
Well, that's exciting, because this car does not have a limited slip differential, right? It just uses the E-diff.
Yep.
You ran a what, 146 last time at Laguna?
Yeah, 146.4.
So 3,000 pounds. Now it's close to 300 horsepower. That's like the optimal power to weight ratio, I think, at least for a daily drivable front-wheel drive car. And I think it's also kind of similar to the new Civic Type R that I just reviewed. So that'll be an interesting point once we start pushing this car a little harder, is how does this older platform, more luxurious German front-wheel drive car with like what, around 15K of mods, compare to a brand new Honda Civic Type R, which is probably considered the best front-wheel drive sports car on sale right now. Tried to feather the throttle there, but it's not very linear when I tried to do that. A little bit of torque steer in third and fourth gear. Mid-range torque, really nice. Almost feels naturally aspirated. Wow, the uphill acceleration, you can really feel that torque.
I think it's because it was tuned on a dyno, but I mean, on paper the numbers are very inflated. Yeah, but they are inflated. All I care is the dyno is a tool that helps you tune. Numbers doesn't matter, but secretly we all know, like, oh, numbers do matter.
Yeah, of course they matter. Yeah, with this car, you know, you're not shooting for outright pure power, in my opinion. It's more about like evening out the torque curve, making sure it doesn't die too much at the top end, and just giving you more area under that curve, which I can definitely feel this car's done very successfully.
And also, Ed from EQ Tuning, he asked me, oh, how aggressive you want the tune is, and I said, oh, I want something like not too aggressive that'll blow my engine. I want something that's like reliable and I can daily it. So he made like a linear torque band for me, because he knows I track. So as a result, he tuned it to a linear standard. So that's maybe why it feels like an ATU.
Yeah, honestly, this is one of the best responding turbo front-wheel drive cars I've ever driven. It's really actually potentially a little bit more responsive than the Civic Type R in stock tune form. With the Civic Type R, actually around like 3,000 RPMs, when you first put your foot down, you do get a little bit of a delay. It's not as responsive as this.
Oh, I see.
There's a little bit of torque steer, but the new Civic Type R, again, is like renowned for having
no torque steer.
But this car is really not that far off. what this does have a lot more of, obviously, is wheel spin because there's no LSD.
Yeah. So going on that point, no LSD, like at certain turns on the track, I have to like feather the throttle,
right?
Because I can't just mash on the gas and go.
The suspension, the PSS 10, feels really good on this road. Actually, I'm kind of surprised.
This car, the PSS 10s are progressive springs. If it pushes harder, it gets stiffer. So that's why probably it feels comfortable on this road.
Is it StopTech ST40?
Yes, ST40.
Feels really good. Every car I've driven with this kit has been really impressive in terms of braking feel. Yeah. It's probably going to be my next mod for the S2000.
You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure at this point. That is every bit as quick as a Civic Type R on the straights.
Really?
I think. I mean, maybe it's I need to drive them back to back. I think maybe the Civic is a little bit quicker, but it's not a big difference now.
But one thing I have to give the Civic Type R is the way how they made the electronic steering feel so realistic. Because I've driven it once, and it felt pretty real compared to this.
Exactly. My one complaint with this car is it is a little bit numb to drive in terms of this. To your point, the steering feel and being able to feel what the front tires are doing. The Civic Type R telegraphs more of like how much you're utilizing the front tires lateral grip, whereas this thing you're kind of just guessing.
Correct.
So now that you've been tracking this car for a few years now, what's the next step? Are you going to add an LSD, or are you going to move to a new platform, or just keep driving this the way it is?
So doing a cost analysis, it costs $1,000 for a new LSD, and not factoring the installation cost. In addition, if I'm doing that, I might as well go bigger turbo. So that being said, I'm still stuck in the front wheel drive layout.
Right.
So with all that in mind, I might as well pick up a rear wheel drive car that has better track potential based out of the box already. For example, an S2K.
Yep, an S2K.
So it's like, what should I get? Or Corvette Z06, the C6 platform.
Right.
But
so that's a good question for the viewers. What do you guys think Jeff should get as his next track car, considering that you're going to keep this as your daily?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So you just need something that just purely for value, for money in terms of track potential, and also reliability and maintenance costs and all that stuff. All that stuff factored in. What's the best rear-wheel drive track car for him? I think I put my 2 cents on that. I don't think I need to try to convince you to buy an S2000 anymore. We'll leave it up to fate, and maybe the viewers can help persuade you one way or the other. This thing pulls out of corners really nice. It's almost hard to notice that it doesn't have an LSD. The only point I really noticed that is in like first gear pulls when it just wheel spins.
Yes.
And second gear to some extent. But in third gear, it actually feels pretty well balanced coming out of a corner.
Yep.
So let's do the math on that for a second. If you spend 10 to 12K, let's call it 12K on a GTI, and then you spend the 15K in mods to bring it up to this performance and handling level, so that you're basically 27K in at that point.
Yeah. That's
a
basically
Civic Type R is like 35 to 40.
Yeah, definitely. I know there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, Volkswagen is unreliable."
Right.
So back to the point, like with those 15K, I fixed a timing chain issue. That's the only problem that I had with this car.
Okay.
Oh, besides the water pump failure, which warranty helped me fix. Other than that, it's been very reliable, and especially with German cars, the way I see it is, if there's a problem, you should fix it right away. It's like cancer,
right?
Because it'll just keep spreading. But with a Japanese car, it's much more reliable. You can ignore something for a while, and then come back to it and still be fine. Keeping up with the maintenance on this car does go a long way.
Right.
But now, talking about the Civic Type R, I mean, definitely the Civic Type R, it's better out of the box.
Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah.
Can this car, modified with some miles on it, be as impressive, or at least as fun to drive? Let's not even talk about numbers for a second. As fun to drive as Civic Type R. So let's try to figure that out on this last little run here. Honestly, right now, I'm having a lot of fun driving this thing. For a front-wheel drive car, it's very fast and very neutral, which is like two things you don't typically associate with front-wheel drive. But way this thing pulls uphill is just really impressive. It has good traction too. Like coming out of that third gear corner, I mashed it there. In the Mazda Speed 3, to your point earlier, you were considering the Mazda Speed 3 before you got this. That thing would have just understeered straight into the wall.
Really?
Let's test the second gear. A little bit of wheel spin, but not too bad. Third gear sweeper. That's floored. That was floored. That's really impressive.
Wow.
This car is a lot of fun right now. Yeah. Maybe at the track, at the absolute limit, you do run into some inherent, flaws with the chassis and the front wheel drive layout, but in the canyons, this thing's a beast. It really is.
So for the Mark 6 platform, you can't fully disable traction control.
Oh.
So at some point, even though you turn it off, it will just kick in just a little bit so you don't die.
Oh, okay.
So when Sega was test driving, I was like, what is this? Why is this breaking?
So even with a tune, you can't get that?
No, it's like really deep into the system already that Volkswagen planted.
Okay. Yeah. That's unfortunate because the Mark 7 you can disable.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, you can fully disable.
See, I hate that. Like, I hate that about manufacturers sometimes. Like, they go out of their way to make sure even a tuner cannot remove some inherent, like, the stability or traction control system.
Yeah.
In terms of driving experience, this is like 90 to 95% of the Civic Type R, I think. The power is great. The braking is great now with the big brake kit. The suspension is great, probably maybe a little bit better than the Civic Type R, which I think is a bit on the soft side. Just the overall performance of the car I think is pretty... At Laguna, maybe like a couple second difference in lap time.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the LSD.
Especially with the LSD and the Civic, right. Is it worth it to spend the extra 13 grand or so, more than what you pay for this, to get a brand new car out of the box with Honda reliability and, full warranty? That's up to you to decide, but I came in here actually with lower expectations for this car, so I'm actually really pleasantly surprised. Not to knock anything like that you've done, it's just because the Mark 6 platform has always been, like, you don't really think of that as like a high performance track car.
Yeah. Also, some of you might saw reviews on the GTI Club Sport, only available in the European market. Yeah. That was something I was like, oh, I really want that because that was tested on the track and it's been proven and all that.
Right.
Well, before the Civic Type R, it was holding the lap record.
At Nürburgring, right?
Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool, but we don't have it here, which kind of sucks. So I guess I just have to deal with this.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad problem to have. Comfort-wise for daily driving compared to the Civic is going to be a little bit better in terms of ride quality because the stock suspension is quite a bit softer than this. Yeah. But in terms of overall, low NVH and interior design, even though you can tell the Civic is newer, the NVH is the same, and I think the interior, just kind of styling of this car is a little bit more along my taste, which is like I like it to be more simple. The Civic's a little bit more flashy with like carbon fiber fades in here and there. All right, Jeff. So thanks for letting me drive your 2012 GTI. You can actually make an older GTI as fun as like the cream of the crop latest front wheel drive hot hatch. The caveat is you're going to spend quite a bit of money, and at that point, would it be worth it to just spend a little bit extra to get the full warranty and the peace of mind of a new car? That's up to you guys to decide, but from a pure driving experience standpoint, this is 90 to 95% of what I think the Civic Type R is. And I drove that car on the same exact road, so I took the same corners, the same gear, like the same speed, and yeah, they're really, really close. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you like me to review your car, as I try not to run over that squirrel there, please reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram, or just hit me up on my YouTube. I do have an email address. All inquiries can go there, and I'll see you guys next time.